Hey guys, so this is going to be round two evaluation of the course. So I'm just going to start off by going through the dog's past so we can kind of figure out where the course goes. Okay, so now we have that. So now we can look at where we want to handle from and the different ways we can handle. So I'm just going to kind of go through different options you guys can do for today. So we're going to go ahead and erase all of this. So to start off, it's a slice jump going in this direction. And there's not really much going on unless you really set your dog up over here, then it's right straight to the tunnel. But at least there's a pretty good distance from here to here. So it's not too bad of an off course unless you just completely lose sight of your dog and they really love tunnels. So you can set your dog up over here, depending on if they like slices or just kind of over here. You don't really need to lead out for this one. I would kind of just start with your dog, get some really good motion going, and then turn them this direction. So then they'll be coming out of the tunnel here. And I personally would say for everyone is to get up here and then right here do a front cross. So you'll have your dog on your right going into here. And once you get them past the plane of this jump, which means the plane, I kind of drew out like the different sides of the jump. So once you get them out in this area, that's when you would do your front cross. So you want to get them past the first wing, which is right here, and then you would do your front cross over number 4 into number 5. The other option you could do as well is do a push here and then either let them land out here and do a rear cross into number 5, or you get up here to do a front cross right here, and then as you do that, they do the push and then they come over and land on this side of you. So then you guys both approach the tunnel together. So there's about a couple different options there. So now as they're coming out to here, they're going to come on this side of it. And then they're going to go here. So a couple options. One is as you're coming out here, you can either front or blind here and then have your dog on the right going into number 7. Or you cannot do a blind or a front cross. And then you could, once again, the plane is right here. Oops. Okay, cool, yeah. And the wing, you can kind of see is right here. So one option you could do is come up here and you really want to connect with your dog. Eye contact right here as they land. And then what you can do is, if your dog is pretty good with flipping away from you, or like basically rear crossing, we kind of talked about this in class, is once they get past this area right here, then you can use your outside hand, which is your right hand, and then you take them and flip them over this jump. So then they'll now be on your right as they go over it, which right now they're on your left. So that's kind of another option. So those are your two options. You can either front cross or blind cross as they're coming out of this tunnel. So if you were to come through here, front or cross or blind, you could center the tunnel and then get up here quickly for a front or a blind. Or, you can do whatever choices you want. And then after you get them into the tunnel, you can get up here and just turn them and then go on to this direction. So hopefully that makes sense, otherwise let me know. So next, we'll be going from 7, 8, 9, 10. You should all have your dogs on your right side now going into here. So now there are a couple different options as we approach 11. Going into number 12, I want you guys all to have your dogs on your left side if possible. So one thing to think about is, as they go into 10, all forward motion, your forward motion is going this direction no matter what side you handle from. And that is showing weaves, because that's just where you're showing. You're pointing your body, everything. So the first thing you need to do is give a little eye contact out of the tunnel right here so they know where to go. So for us, we either can, one, come into here and do a handle from your right side, and then either do a front cross or blind cross here. And then they can come out here and you can show them this jump here. But when you do this, you have to be early and already rotated, so that way they still don't think they're going to the weaves. If you don't do this early enough, they're still going to want to go to the weaves because that's all they see. And as you're doing your front or your blind, you're probably going to be blocking this jump right here. But that's one option, especially to help get yourself up here. I would really like the front or the blind here. Another option you could do, if you're a little bit farther behind, is as they come out here, you can send them in the tunnel, get up here for a front cross. Probably a front cross. You could do a blind, but the only thing with a blind is that you're going to lose sight of them, and you could lose connection then, and then they can just go right into the weaves. Where a front cross, you can get rotated pretty much, and then they can just come, if they come out shooting here, you can easily just bring them over here and up to there. So either or. The other thing that's an option as well, besides either going into here for a front or a blind or doing here for a front or a blind, is you can, as you go into this tunnel right here, you can show a lot of decel, and then they can kind of come out here looking for you. You can support 11 with them on your right, and then you can let them land, rear cross 12, or just on the landing or takeoff, kind of depending on where you choose to do it. And then you guys can both approach the weaves together. So those are a couple different options. Now, as you go into the weaves, I want you guys all to remember the importance of can be a really, it's not probably too bad just because they have a lot of forward motion. They're going to come out here. So it's not too bad of a weave entrance, but it is a little bit tougher. You don't have the wall there. Luckily we have some space in that corner. So because the wall is not completely there. So one thing we want to make sure we do is really shape this, bring them out here. Since there is space around the wall, they're not going to have to feel so much pressure. They're just going to be an open space. And I want you guys to really shape these weaves nicely if needed to help get them a good weave entrance. So that's that. Now we come out here and the dog is going this direction. So in this area, a couple different things is one option first is we come out here and we do a front cross or a blind cross. Now be aware at the dog's path, your forward motion is going this direction. So they will easily be able to see this right here. So you just need to make sure you pick them up and connect if you're going to do a front cross or a blind cross in this area. So you just come out here and then you guys can approach this together. So as your dog's on your left side, it'll go across and then to the right side it goes. Another option is you go this direction, show a little bit of detail. Kind of do like a half push, depending on where they land. It's not really a push because if they land like out here, then they're just kind of slicing this. You could rear cross 16 with them on your left, and then you switch to them on your right, and you go that direction. Another option as well is that they come over this jump, and you can rear cross on the flat, and then you guys both are approaching 17 together. And then with that, another option you could do is you could send them out to 15, then go over here and do a cross, a blind or a front as they're going this direction. Once again, though, you got to make sure you really watch them so they don't want to take this jump right here. And then you do your cross, and then you go this direction. One thing is if you do your front or your blind too late and do not rotate this direction, you could easily send them over number 11 jump. But this is still an option as well. You just need to make sure that you go this direction and not to 11. Perfect. So now with those choices, we are heading into number 17 with them on our right. So they're going to come through here and go over 19. For us, one thing we could do is, do a push. And then front cross here, going into 19 with them on our left. Another awkward, but it definitely could work, especially since there's a space out there, is we can bring them over here, do a front cross or a blind. Once again, both for number 18, right what I'm talking about right now, and also at number 4, it's kind of like a forced front. For number 3, they have a lot of forward motion that they kind of the path just kind of takes them to the backside of number 4, so I wouldn't say it's as much of a forced front. But at 18, this will be a big full, kind of a forced front cross. So that's just something to be aware of. Or when I start talking about a forced front cross, that is what we are talking about. So we go over 17. You do a front cross. But one thing to be aware of is, okay, come on. They're gonna come through here, and they're gonna slice 18. So it's gonna be a little awkward. I mean, it still completely works, but you also have to get past the wing. So the dog is kind of going to be running into you, and then you're going to have to awkwardly push them back out to 19 if you decide to go in there for the forced front. So the two things we talked about so far at 18 is you can either do a cross here, or you can do the forced front here. And the other thing is even if you want to do a cross here, you can always really push them out here to help them at 18 and then come in here kind of wait for the front cross. Another option we could do too is really shape this over 18, come out here, rear cross 19 as they take off, bringing it this way. Once again, if they're an extension, they should land out here where the takeoff side of 20 is a given, where if your dogs turn really tightly on rear crosses, they might come in here and then want this side. So you just kind of have to be aware of your dog. But 18, 19, 20 can be a nice rear crossing out path. So, right, once again, we could either rear cross on the takeoff side, which would be right here, and then you would come on this side, approaching number 20 with the dog on your left, really pushing out and kind of shaping that. Another option you could do is continue with your dog on your right, and then you'll make sure they land. You want to make sure they land, and you can put a little bit of pressure, but then do a rear cross on the flat, and then you're once again approaching 20 with them on your left. So depending on the different choices you do, so if you do a front cross here, a front cross here, you're most likely going to be able to do a front or a blind here, going from 20 to 21 to 22. If you do a rear cross going into 19, you're going to probably be behind and not be able to get this crossing here, which is perfectly fine. But so the two options we could do as we go 20, 21, and once again, there is this jump right here. So no matter what you do, the dog is, even if you rear cross or front cross or blind, they're really probably going to see this. You need to make sure you connect at 21 after they are going over the jump so you don't lose them going over the number 6 jump. The other thing is if you don't pick them up, especially if you do a blind cross, right here, you could awkwardly lose them over number 3. Probably isn't as dangerous as number 6 because 6 is very much in their path and all your motion is showing extension over number 21. So the two options is, or a couple options is, you do the front cross in your head, you can either do a front door blind here, so you go here, do your cross, and then you go here and leave. Other option is you come here, you can do a rear cross here, let your dog go over the jump, and we go this direction. Or if your dog doesn't extend and go ahead of you as much and is kind of more with you, you guys can go over 21 together, and then you have them cross on the flat, and then after that you approach 22 together. So I think those are probably the biggest options you guys could do. I think I covered all the different ones. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But I think the biggest thing to think about with this course is the 2 different forced fronts you could do. I think they're really beneficial, especially at number 4, because if you can get in here and do a front cross, I want to do a blind just because you're kind of bringing them to a different side. You could do a blind, but just timing has to be perfect, otherwise you could easily lose them either into the tunnel or they just completely pass the jump. So for front cross kind of has a more of a guarantee that the dog will take the jump. And then once again, going from 17 to 18, that's even a bigger force front, and you really need to make sure you give yourself enough space to kind of turn and kind of get around this wing so you guys don't both end up going this direction and this direction, the dog getting ahead of you, which is perfectly fine. If it does, you can always try to steer them back on track. But those are just kind of the 2 big things I want you guys to think about, is that force front. Actually, one more option I want to show you. I know this is kind of going off track. But one thing you could do at number 4 as well is if you're kind of coming in here, is you could also get up here on number 6 side, for a front cross or a blind cross, and then you have more momentum going into number 7, especially if your dogs don't like to push as much. You guys can really pick the dog up at number 5 and then go into 6 to 7 together, and you can really help shape that since you're a little bit behind and they're not trying to chase you. And that really gives yourself and some momentum to really push out here and then bring them back around, which might be really good for some of the dogs that have a harder time with the pushes or just don't like them as much. So that's always an option as well. So let me know if you guys have any questions or anything's confusing, or if you want me to kind of demonstrate what a forest front is, just so you can think about that for tomorrow. But yeah, thanks.